Hi and welcome to Evita, the rhythm of my heart. Thank you so much for watching. Do not be alarmed, there's not a single Spanish ingredient on my countertop. And that is because today, in honor of our Irish brothers and sisters, I'm going to give it a shot and attempt to make an Irish corned beef brisket. I did some research and most of the commonly used ingredients in Ireland, and this is what I came up with. So when I come back, I'm going to take you through the step-by-step of my version of Irish corned beef brisket. Obviously, I'm not Irish, but since I like to give my family a different culinary experience at home, I tend to keep a pretty stocked up pantry of different types of spices and flavors. So for this brisket, I'm going to be using some fennel seeds, some celery seeds. I have here some dillweed, some ground sage, some ground mustard, some allspice, some caraway seeds, and those come in a little jar like this. Caraway seeds is one of the ingredients that they use the most, especially when they braise their cabbage. We also have some red pepper flakes and some tarragon. I'm also going to be using some parsley, and this is curly parsley, a yellow onion that I've diced, and also some garlic cloves. I'm still going to add the sachet or the package that came with the braised brisket. When I took a look at this sachet of seasoning, to me it just didn't seem like it was enough spices, which is the reason why I went ahead and I decided to add all these other spices to it. Of course, we're going to be using some beer, and I found this Irish red. I hope this works. Some red potatoes, some cabbage, and also we're going to use some carrots and some water. Brisket is a naturally fatty cut of meat, as you can see. There's quite a bit of fat on it. But for my health benefits, I'm going to be trimming some of that excess fat from it. Believe it or not, the fat is there to add moisture to our meat. However, I really don't believe I need to have all this fat on my brisket. I particularly do not care much for fatty meat, so anytime I get a chance to trim some of the fat from, the meats that I consume, I will do so. I believe, and I'm pretty confident, that when we slow cook this brisket, especially since we're using our Instant Pot, we're gonna still get the same amount of moisture that we need, and it's going to come out just as juicy. So I'm not very concerned about trimming too much of this fat. Of course, if you don't want to trim the fat, you can leave it on there. For me, I prefer to just trim as much as I can of it. Of course, I'm going to leave the fat on the back side intact because we're going to be cooking our brisket on that side. But I believe this is pretty good. I'm just gonna keep trimming my brisket and just try to make it as lean as possible. Now that I trimmed my brisket, I'm gonna start smashing my garlic. And I have 6 very large garlic cloves. I like the taste of garlic. And anytime you can add flavor to any meal, you should do so, especially using aromatics such as garlic, the parsley, celery, onions. Those all add flavor. And you really don't have to crush these garlics. You just want to smash them slightly, that's all. And once you do that, you can just rough chop them if you want. And I fitted my insert of the Instant Pot with this rack. And the reason for that is I want to be able to just pull my brisket once it's ready right out of the liquid. So I'm going to start adding my aromatics into the pot, starting with the onions and the garlic. Okay, so I changed the angle so you can see. We're gonna go ahead and start adding our aromatics, and those are the onion and also the garlic I have right here that I smashed already. If you don't have one of these Instant Pots or a pressure cooker like this, you can make this brisket on a Dutch oven also. Now, I'm not gonna chop up the parsley. I'm just gonna add it. On all my other recipes, I tend to use cilantro and culantro quite a bit, and I like to use the stems of them so that we don't waste any of our, vegetables. So, but since we're making an Irish brisket, corned beef brisket, I'm going to be using the parsley. So I did the same thing. I basically just used the parsley, whole, and we're going to go ahead and add that. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and add the sachet of the spices that came with the brisket. Everything goes in the same pot. And then, of course, all my other spices. Into the pool they go. Now, I believe I mentioned before, but we don't want to add any salt to this brisket because the brisket, it is brined in a salty brine. So we don't want to add salt when we cook this. Halfway through the cooking process, I'm going to check on my brisket, and I'm also going to taste it for flavor, just to be sure. But I believe that it's going to be salty enough. Now, once we've added all our aromatics and spices into the pot, we're going to go ahead and put our brisket in, skin side down or fat side down. It's a little slippery. And now, the last thing that we have to do is we have to add enough liquid to cover the brisket. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Of course, staying true to my style of cooking, I decided to add some celery to the pot. Celery is also considered an aromatic, so I believe that the celery is just going to elevate the flavor of our brisket, so why not? And now I'm going to be adding the beer. I have not decided whether or not I want to add both beers, so I'm going to begin with one and see what that looks like. Oh, look at the color of that beer. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and add both beers. Now we need enough liquid to cover the brisket. So once I add the second beer, I don't think a little beer in our brisket is going to hurt anyone. Of course, the alcohol evaporates as it cooks, so we don't need to worry about that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start adding some water to it, and just enough to cover our brisket, just like that. So I added 2 beers and 4 cups of water. Okay. I'm going to stir the pot slightly just to get some of those spices to rise to the top. Of course, you can make this mixture, separately and then just pour it over the brisket if you want. But as it cooks, it's just going to infuse anyway. But, I like to just, give it a little stir just in case. And the good thing about these pots is that they actually, everything cooks together. So they're covered and they're cooking at high pressure. You're just really just cooking and infusing the flavor from the inside. So, it looks good, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this lid on this. And that's the sound that it's closed. Now, I'm going to start my pressure cooker at 85 minutes. According to my instructions for my Instapot, that's all the time that I need. So I have it set at 125 minutes, so it's 60 minutes plus 25. And then I'm gonna go ahead and also put it on the pressure cooker high. And let's get started. So in about an hour and 25 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and check our brisket. and then I'll figure out whether or not I need to leave it longer. I'm also gonna taste it for salt. I did not add any salt to my my seasoning, so we'll see. So when I come back, we're gonna open the lid and check it out. Very well. Remember, we set this up for an hour and 25 minutes cooking time according to the directions of my Instapot. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it now that it's been allowed to sit and all the pressure was released. Wow, it smells so good. Now, we didn't add any salt, and I just wanted for, for my own peace of mind, I'm gonna check and taste the broth just to see if we need to add any salt. And it's perfect. Brisket is brine in a salty brine, so that's the reason why you don't need to add any more salt to it. So now, I'm just gonna go very carefully with the fork, just pick it up, just so that I can show you that it's fall apart tender, which is what you're looking for. So according to the directions, a 5-pound brisket should take anywhere between an hour and 25 minutes to an hour and a half, and they were spot on. Now, if you're using a Dutch oven to cook your brisket, the rule of thumb with brisket, according to the directions, is 50 minutes per pound. So keep that in mind. I do, by any means, if you can afford it, check these out. They come in different sizes. I'm absolutely in love with my Instapot, and came as a recommendation of my good friend Mindy. So thank you, Mindy, for that recommendation. I am absolutely loving my Instapot. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the brisket. I think this is still too hot to handle. Oh, maybe not. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my platter so that I can remove the brisket and set it aside, because I'm not gonna need all that liquid. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it up just so that we can take all those veggies out. Just like that. Wow, smells amazing. And this was a 5-pound brisket, and look how much it shrunk. Remember, it's a lot of fat on it, so, and I did trim quite a bit of the fat. So see, the reason why I like to use this wire rack is so much easier to pull up the brisket without breaking it apart. So I'm gonna set it here. Well, guys, there you have it. My version of corned beef brisket, Evita style. At the end of this video, I'm gonna give you a quick video of the 2 side dishes that I'm gonna serve with my corned beef brisket. One for the Irish whiskey ginger glazed carrots, and also a potato dish that they call cannon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And that's just an Irish potatoes and cabbage. So when I come back, I'm gonna show you the served platter or a plate of this amazing corned beef, which again, let me just show you, is just pull apart tender, which is I understand what we're looking for. There is quite a bit of fat still on there, but that's something that you can trim, right before you serve it, or you could just leave it like that. I'm also going to strain some of the cooking liquid just to pour over our brisket. And finally, for the moment I've been waiting for, here's the final dish. This is what it looks like. Now, to finish it, we are going to add some more of that brown butter over the top of the potatoes. This is how they finish it. And remember, this is my interpretation of the recipe. And we're also going to add some green scallions over the top. And then we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of that broth over the brisket. And it's ready to go. So now I get to try it. Let's go ahead and grab a little piece from here. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's tender and so flavorful. The carrots are nice and cooked. Perfect. Try the potato. Let's see. There we go. Delicious. Oh my goodness. I think I found a new favorite dish. Well guys, as always, this is Evita, cooking at the rhythm of my heart. Until next time, buen provecho y hasta la próxima.